She got pinched off.
She did. Go! Where are you boys at, bro?
Oh, she got it.
It looks like little Mario Karts.
But you know what? That little 80 we got is fast.
Yeah, if we can fix it.
Tommy, sit down. Back up.
Go! Oh, she got a good jump.
Get it, girl, get it! Woo! She's doing good. Oh, Scott, you butthead!
What's going on, guys? JD at JD's Custom Buggies. So a couple of weeks ago my wife starts sending me links to four-wheelers and I have no clue why. And like, how about this one? How about that one? And I looked at them and whatnot, joked about it at the shop. In fact, she sent me like a link to a 06 Can-Am that looked like a Sea-Doo with four wheels on it and a big armrest in the back. Looked like a school bus. Like it should have a big stop sign that flops out with some lights blinking. And I got home that night and immediately when I walk in the house, she's like, "Did you see the links I sent you?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I don't want to buy an old four-wheeler. Not an 06 Can-Am at least." And then she just gave me a look. She's like, "I have nothing to ride. You took all of my four-wheelers up to Tennessee and left them there. And now I've got nothing to ride." I'm like, "Well, if you want to ride, honey, you can ride my Scrambler." And she's like, "I don't like it. It's too fast." So I started looking myself. And right before Christmas, she gave me permission. I went out and bought myself. I've always wanted a 1000S Scrambler. And she let me do it. And I brought it home and took it up to Tennessee once already. And I love the thing. So I thought maybe I'd get her an 850 Scrambler. So we took a ride to Miami. I called the same salesman that I dealt with, and between that and the fact that I couldn't find another Scrambler in the state of Florida, which is why I ended up in Miami to buy mine, and found her that one. She already got it dirty. So 2023 leftover 850 Scrambler, and I took her riding for the weekend. But while we were there signing the paperwork on this guy, she fell in love with a little Raptor 110. And I'm like, why do we need a Raptor 110? Well, my TRX 90 is up there and I like it and I love the color. So I'm like, okay. I really don't want to buy two four-wheelers today. And like a child, she looks at me and she says, "I'll buy it. I'll pay for it." I'm like, really? And I got a gushy feeling like a father that my kid's taking responsibility. Is going to buy herself her own little quad. So I let her. And it turns out I think she likes this thing better than the big quad. So she ended up with this. And she spent most of the day riding it. And it's a 2024 Raptor 110. I think it's a new model this year. I think they bumped it up from a 90. I'm not super familiar with my my Yamaha models, but it's an EFI model. That's the first year for that. It's not a shifter, it's got a CVT. So we went riding for the weekend, and all the guys that we ride with have 90s, TRX 90s. One guy's got a Can-Am 90, and they all wanted to go do some drag racing. So of course she was frosty and she was game, and she went in. And the drag race turned into, like, not really an oval, but down a stretch, make a quick turn up a stretch for like 2 laps. And she was giving it hell, but she could only come out with a 3rd place, like both times. I mean, granted, she's racing a bunch of quad racing guys. So I sat there and I stared at that CVT, and I decided I got to do something about this. So I gutted it. I started looking at the stuff, and I figured, well, it's a Yamaha. Somewhere there's got to be scooter parts from a Yamaha that fit this thing. Something I can do with it. So we tore it all out, and immediately when I opened it up, I realized that the shaft was splined, kind of like the DRR race quads. And the DRRs are basically Minarelli jog motors, and Minarelli was a Yamaha-owned company that they used in their scooters. Now the DRR is a 2-stroke and it's a 4-stroke. But the stuff looked really familiar, so I went in the showroom and looked, and of course I stocked some stuff that'll fit a DRR and found a bunch of stuff. Apparently there was 2 different size clutches on there. There's a 112 and a 107. I believe the DRR uses the 107 millimeter clutch. This had the 112 in it, so I happened to have a 112 bell, slapped it on there, performance bell. And I'm like, all right, now we're getting somewhere. So I immediately went to my vendor's website and started looking and whatnot, and we started measuring the parts, measuring the rollers, the spring. Turns out there's actually parts that we can put on this to make it performance. So we'll show you what we got and what the plan is going to be. And kind of explain what we're looking at and what I see here. So first off, the drive face I notice is exactly like the Minarelli drive face. You know, on the DRRs, I've worked on a couple of CVTs on DRR quads, and they have this little locking ring. The crankshaft is splined, that slides right on. So that gave me hope. So I have all the stuff here. We got our performance stuff, we have our stock stuff, and just to kind of show you, and you might not think it really looks all that much different. They actually look the same from the top here. So this is our stock clutch, 112 millimeter bell. The inside of this is like glass. She's only got 1 ride on this, so basically just like your GY6 buggy. The steel bell, no rough edge here, nothing to grab, a lot of room for slippage or whatnot, for clutch slippage, just like your stock buggy. You can see it's already, the pad's got a little bit of wear to it. And like I said, that's only 1 ride, so you can see where the pad is grabbing the bell. So we decided we're gonna discard that. This is the performance drum that I had in stock. This thing is like sandpaper in here. It's also nice is they drill it out, and that's for cooling and clean out. So as this rough edge grabs the shoes, it basically gets rid of all the dust. And the dust, when the dust gets hot, contributes to everything kind of getting glassy and glazed over. If you ever take your clutch pads off your buggy and the pads feel like really, really smooth, that's just the heat from the dust and everything's just kind of glazing over and getting glass-like. So here's our SSPG, and this is what we got here. It's an SSPG 112 millimeter performance clutch, and this all came together. The pads are noticeably a lot more aggressive and rougher on this, and it comes loaded with a yellow torque spring, which is like your plus 1500 torque spring, and yellow shoe springs. So if you watch some of the other videos, I've explained what this, what the springs do as far as the clutch goes. So the big spring on the center, the torque spring, basically changes the shift points. So what this will do is keep this belt. It's a thicker, stiffer spring. It's basically a plus 1500. So whatever stock was, this kind of delays for another 1500 RPMs before it does the same thing as the stock one. So it'll spool up the motor, allow the motor to spool up before it kind of works. But what it does is keep the belt from traveling up and down the pulley. It slows the travel down as far as the time. And what that does is basically keeps it in a lower gear longer. And when you let off, it should downshift quicker because it's got more tension on it. The yellow shoe springs, now in a buggy, I like red ones. I like a lot of stall. And that's what that does is basically, it'll be stiffer than stock, plus 1500 again, and will delay the engagement. So allow the motor to spool up before the shoes will actually be able to grab the belt. So we're going to try this. This isn't my normal buggy setup. The 1500, the yellow spring is the torque spring, but not the shoe springs. Now, as of right now, I could not find I was looking for a Dr. Pulley, to be honest with you. I was looking for a hit clutch for this thing. Couldn't find one yet. So I'm going to keep looking. But what we're trying to do here at this point is we are going to, we're going to try this setup up with it now. And I'm going to let you know if there's any improvement or whatnot. As far as how she performed before, it seemed like it was a real dog. It seemed like the TRX is, because you could shift the TRX 90, that it was not getting a good jump. Once it got to the mid-range, she was basically keeping up, and then as it got down to the end of the strip, that's kind of when it was kicking in. Kind of clutch like a scooter. It's actually how a scooter would behave. So we're going to see if this doesn't change the behavior of that. Now, what I haven't done yet, because I just got this stuff in and want to compare, I can tell by eye, the pulley is a little bit smaller. All right, so not a problem, because I could probably take this, and I just bought this assembly so I wouldn't have to put springs in it and stuff. I just wanted to kind of slap something on just to see if I'm moving it along the right, taking the right path here, making improvements. So the pulley's a little bit smaller. That might be an issue. I do not know yet. If that's the case, we can easily just swap these clutches. I can put this back on a stock pulley. But right now, I'm just testing stuff out. So that's what we're going to use for a clutch setup right now. As far as the variator, now I had the option, and I did order some weights for this. Now these are 15, I want to say they were 15 by 3 roller weights. And they're 10 grams. I weighed them. So this is 10 grams. Now, give you a comparison, a 150cc scooter or 150cc buggy comes stock with a 14 gram weight. 150 cc's, heavy machine. This is 10 grams. So on a little variator like this, I would consider this pretty heavy. What we're going to try and do is we're going to swap this variator over. Now, I did compare the variators. This variator comes with its own boss. These bosses aren't compatible. I can't take this boss and put it with this variator and vice versa. The factory variator actually has a rubber dust seal in there. And I'm wondering, because if that doesn't have some resistance to it, because it doesn't really spin. Whereas this guy here, I'm going to put the backing plate on. And this just seems to spin a lot freer. So I'm wondering if that doesn't make a difference there. I do have shims for a Minarelli jog motor. We might even try and shim the motor a little bit and give that a shot also. What the goal is here is I don't want to kill a lot of the top speed, but I want the takeoff to be, a vast improvement of what it was. Quite frankly, it's an off-road machine. It doesn't really need a whole ton of top speed. I'd rather take it off, have it give it more torque and whatnot, have better takeoff. So I'm going to try out this SSPG performance variator, which is for a Minarelli motor, and we're going to give that a shot. Now the drive face is going to be a little bit taller than the actual variator. I'm going to use the factory drive face on this. What I'm going to do right off the bat is, because we have 10 gram rollers in this, I'm going to take out these, and 4 gram weights come in this guy. Now these weights are different size. This performance one's got 16 by 3, and Yeah, they're the same width, and that's 15 by 3. So they're different size weights. I'm gonna try and put these. Found some sliders for it, so I got Dr. Pulley. These are 16 by 3, 8-gram sliders. Now we're starting off with 10. These are 8. These are 4. Now when you go kind of like the buggy, I'm gonna go with the same theory as the buggy. Is that usually when you go from a slider or a roller to a slider, that you when you go to the equivalent slider to the roller, if you have a 10-gram roller, you want to go up to on your slider. So if you're running 10-gram rollers in your buggy, then you'd want to run a 12-gram slide weight. All right. So whenever you're transitioning, if you were trying to keep the same reaction or the same effect, to get a point of reference, you want to go, from roller to slider, you want to jump up 2 grams. So what I'm going to do is, these are 4, that's 10, these are 8, which should act like a 6-gram roller. So I'm going to give this a shot, and I'm going to check, because these are a little bit different shape than like GY6. So I'm going to put these sliders in, and we're going to go bolt this up, take it for a spin in the parking lot, and see what I feel compared to what it used to be. And I really didn't, this was all a spur of the moment thing, so I kind of wish that I had some video to show you guys of what the quad was doing before. But I didn't do that. I couldn't wait to tear into it to see what was in there, so we skipped that whole part of the process. Alright, I'm just verifying that I am putting these in. You definitely want to make sure anytime you're putting your slide weights in that they're at the right angle, because basically it's like a triangle almost with 3 different angles, so they have to go in a certain way. And if you buy Dr. Pulley sliders, all you have to do is look at the inside of the package, and they do give you a diagram. So I wouldn't have such an issue with be staring at this so hard if it was the GY6 stuff, because they're slightly different shape than I'm used to that. So I'm going to leave the stock stuff on the table for now. Now I did get slide weights, or I did get roller weights for this too, just in case. I didn't know how extensive I was going to go, and as I kept on digging for parts, I started seeing different options to go with, and I'm like, well, let's go to the extreme. So taking this clutch, taking this drive face, I'm going to take this variator, I'm going to go try this out on that quad. Alright, so get our clutch on. Nice. So cute. So small and adorable. Should be on here in a moment. Looking at it right off, I'm going to assume now that the pulley's smaller, that this belt is a little long. So I'm going to assume we're going to have to change this pulley. But I'm going to give it a quick zoom, see if it's not a complete disaster. Alright. Alright, so this variator I'm already seeing a problem with. This variator here, you can see the other one must be just a hair thicker, because when I put the spacer on here, I have some of the splines are still sticking out. So if I tighten this nut up, it's going to stop right there at the spline, so it's not going to catch the spacer, and this is all going to be loose. So that's going to be issue number one. I don't think. Yep. She's still loose. So we're going to have to stick with the stock variator. So and that's going to be lesson number one. Lesson number two is this pulley being smaller is going to be an issue. So if you can see, she's riding way high in the belt there. So, or the belt's riding way high in the pulley. So what we're going to do, we're going to go ahead and go back inside and get a variator. We might as well change this out too, which I can give you a quick demonstration how to do that. So we'll take this back. We're going to take this back. We'll put all this cool stuff for nothing. And all the weights are going to fall out. All right. Let's go fix our stuff. All right, so fortunately this is a 39mm nut, just like a GY6 clutch, so I have a socket for it. Let's see if I can do this. I'm taking for granted that it's much smaller than the GY6 clutch and that it won't pop me in the face, but we'll see. Okay, good assumption. All right. So we're going to take this off. Cute little pulley. See, the springs are just perfectly the same size here, so we're going to put this guy back on. That's our stock clutch, stock nut. Usually I put these on the floor, but let's see if I can. I doubt I'm going to one-hand this because I need a third hand to do it. Okay, we're going to do it the old-fashioned way. Use one monkey foot. You always want to start it by hand. You don't want to just take the gun and hammer down on it, because the thread is so fine that it wouldn't take much to cross-thread it and screw it up. Alright, done deal. Alright, now as far as the variator goes, I didn't give it much thought when I was sitting here talking to you guys, but I did kind of measure up, and I knew from the get that this was a much narrower variator. So I'm going to take the weights that it came with, put them back. We'll put them back in the baggie. Okay, this is the box that it came with. What we're going to do is take our stock variator. It's always good to have plan B when you're experimenting. Take out our 10-gram weights. Alright, so as I was explaining before with sliders, we're going to change the whole plan now a little bit. So these are 10-gram rollers, 9-gram sliders. So that would be like the equivalent of me swapping these 10-gram rollers for like a 7-gram. Alright, because we're going to subtract 2 from the 9, make the equivalent in a roller. My point of reference. Stick these in here. Kind of excited. I hope it works out. Everything's just so much smaller. Alright, so dry face. I think I left everything out there. Just need to bring this gun. We'll go and find out. Okay. Take our belt. Okay. You can see now that the belt is in the pulley. So that's definitely was the way to go as far as that's concerned. And that looks like it was the way to go as far as that's concerned. I don't think I got it in all the way. Okay. There we go. I'm trying to get the belt up the barrier a little bit so I have enough room here. So I want to make sure that's in the spline before I hammer down on her. But she's not loose now. That's what we were going for. Now, kind of like the Trailmaster and the Hammerhead GTS motors, you know, the ones with the internal reverse. There's a little rubber O-ring that cushions it up against the bearing because there's a bearing on the inside. I really don't want to run this without the cover on it because this output shaft here is most likely, if it's like the, you know, like the Trailmaster motor, the Hammerhead motor, there's only one bearing holding this shaft, and so you can see it's got wiggle. That's because the support bearing's on the cover. So you don't want to run it without the cover. What I will do is probably bypass just putting the floorboard in, just so we can get a test ride in. So, 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8. And these are most likely for our floorboard. So, I'm going to stick these somewhere else. Tricky getting that bearing lined up. Oh, there it is. Perfect. Very nice. that right this second. I just don't want to lose that clamp because I knew it looked like it was going to fall off. Let's see what we got. Okay. I'll move my foot. That was funny. All right. No bullets come flying out the side, so I think we're good. Got a little bit of a stall. I think it woke up. I think it looks peppier. Didn't do that before. Definitely a torque monster. Huge difference. The only thing that's left is take it down the street and see if it limits any of the top end or if it hits a rev limiter of any kind. But as far as what is going here, that little incline in the swell and whatnot, huge difference. Definitely torqued it down. So let's do a run up and down the street. Definitely no problem climbing something. I didn't have the opportunity to really take it down the street to see how fast it would go, but it doesn't seem to be limiting. I mean, it might have trimmed a little top speed off, but as far as the takeoff, I think it definitely grabs a lot harder. All right, well, definitely a big improvement. I don't feel like its top speed is lacking. I mean, it seems to go fast enough. Takeoff is vastly improved, and that's what was lacking. It was just lacking from the get. This thing will actually jerk you back a little bit. So I'm really pleased so far. I might tweak this setup a little bit and try and hone it and see. This might be the best setup. I don't know. I'm gonna hunt around. If I could find a hit clutch, I would like to put a hit clutch in this. But for right now, as far as like a cheap, easy solution for a 24 Raptor right now, I foresee a kit coming up in the future that will make it super affordable, because I mean, these parts here, they're good, they're made in Taiwan, and they're not half as much as Yamaha would charge for something like this. So pleasantly surprised. I'm glad I went the right way. What I'll have to do is let her get on it because I really don't have that much seat time on it. She basically rode this for half a day and traded off between her scrambler. But like up in Tennessee where we're at, where there's a lot more hills, I don't see this thing lacking. I mean, it seems to be, it definitely we've supplemented with what wasn't there. So even let Ben take a ride on it, who's holding the camera right now, and say, hey, you got to get on this thing and try it. And he got on it, his eyes got big and white, wide and whatnot. So definitely went in the right direction. It's not my imagination. So hopefully, once I figure out what parts kind of work good, be a little bit of a kit, maybe a tuning kit, maybe with additional springs, maybe with the extra weights or whatnot, depending on what somebody's looking for. But she'll be the real judge when she gets on it. I don't even know if I want to tell her. Maybe just let her get on it and see what happens. But definitely pleased. So I'm glad it didn't take the couple of minutes in the couple of bucks I spent to see, and it went to waste. It actually made a difference. Anyway, if you need parts, go to gotbuggies.com. If you like what you see, hit the like button, and if you haven't already, definitely subscribe. So we'll keep you up to date on this guy as we mess around with it. But right now, I'm pretty happy. So till next time, guys. Later.